Guys, I have no idea what on earth just happened, man. No idea. So we're back to this. Let me make sure I post this. Get shareable link. And make sure I post this on this thing because let me see. Continuation. Guys, I have to post that again there because that thing just ended on me like, man, I don't know what went wrong here. But we are back, guys. This is the continuation. Let me just wait for like 5 minutes. Sorry about that, guys. I have no idea what on earth just happened. This thing just stopped on me, man. That's crazy. Let me just wait for a little bit for folks to come in. Share this out there as well so other people can actually see. This is so weird, bro. My goodness. I just saw this thing and it ended right there. There was like 100 of you guys in the building. And then this thing just ended. Big up to those who are there already. Click the thumbs up button for me, please, guys. I'm just going to wait for like 5 minutes. Maniku bite your internet cable or what? Yes. The Maniku that they throw down on the thing. Let me post that up. The Maniku, I have that. The Maniku they threw down. It seems like that Maniku happened to reach and bite my internet. That's crazy. Let me see if I have that. My thing just ended there. Yeah. Oh, look at there. Let me share it with you guys because it seems like Maniku that bite my internet for real. Yeah, man, Maniku bite my internet, boy. I suspect that Maniku that that release right there. Oh, you saw that video, no? I'm just gonna wait for like 5 minutes, guys. It seems like they didn't catch it and it happened to just escape and now it come and bite my internet. But that's straight, that man, that's crazy. Bruh. Panic yourself. Dominica vibes, you're not easy, Blessings, everyone. Happy Sunday. Big up yourself, Mason Stewart. Pray that everyone is having a great Sunday. I'm having definitely a good Sunday, no doubt about it. But Maniku, like Dominica vibes just steady right there, took out my internet, man. That's crazy. Maybe I should bring that back a little. I'm not sure how far it was. I just saw this thing just end, man. That's crazy. And my internet is good, guys. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the let me change the setting on this thing because I don't know what happened. I'm telling you, I don't know what on earth just happened right there. So I'm just gonna bring down the bit rate. Maybe the bit rate was too fast or something. But yes, guys, 15 of you guys in the building right there. So share it, man. Share it. I should have also posted this thing, the new one in this thing, but that's fine. You guys know the scene already. But yeah, let me just wait for like how much minutes? Let me just wait for 1 more minute and we're gonna continue right there, guys. Sorry about that, and that was kind of crazy right there. Dominica, the rat. This is a rat. Don't they, Maniku? Anyways, guys, let's just let me just wait for like 30 more seconds and then continue right there. But this thing is getting pretty interesting. I'm sure you guys realize that this is getting interesting right there when you're getting deeper and deeper into this, especially with Lennox Linton. For those of you who don't know, on the continuation of the previous live interaction I was going on, Christopher, my thing just ended, man. I have no idea what on earth happened. But anyways, based off the synopsis of what was happening on this, Lennox was saying that we should not be, taken aback, so to speak, on what Delbert Paris did. And in fact, it was he was honorable in his decision when he said yes. I totally disagree with that, because we are still back to square one. I understand that we have voter ID cards. That's great. A little progress here, but I don't think the progress means anything when it comes down to having proper elections, because even if elections were to call right now, it would still be the same thing. It'll be the exact same thing. So there's not much of a difference when it comes down to this, and we had the ideal opportunity to say no to these systems. And as a result of saying no, what I think could have happened, what I think happened was, let me just see what I'm saying right there. What I think happened, brothers and sisters, is because Scared must have left out certain things in the bill, and as a result of Delbert Paris, putting these things for we need voter ID cards, all those kind of things there, campaign finance, so forth and so forth. Scary decided to put, I'm just speculating, he decides to put some of the ideas that Delbert had indicated into the bill. If they had said no, they most likely would take it out or something of that sort. Right there. So that's what I think happened in that regard. But still, we are still back to square one. And this was willful on Skerrit's part, because I remember Skerrit was saying the same thing during that time. They left out certain things. It was a strategy that it seems like they did. And as a result of the strategy that they did, they left out a number of things willfully, so that the opposition come and say, hey, we need this and we did that. And as a result of saying we need this and we need that, they decide to put it in without the specifications that is needed for these things. For example, the voter ID cards. You need voter ID cards, great. They left it out for the opposition to say, hey, we need voter ID cards, so they can put it in, but then leave out biometrics and a number of things that will render that people cannot use, somebody else cannot use your voter ID card and come and say, hey, I have a voter ID card. So they leave out the metrics, they leave out the important parts. And that is what I think happened right there. So there was some level of trickery that was apparently happening there. Christopher Sebastian says, in my views, Paris should have said no, because it will still be passed, because if the majority in parliament, well, I just come to think of it when I was discussing this. For example, if you needed 10 things in a bill, and the government then decides, only 6 things we put in the bill, only 6 things we put in the bill, and they need 10 things in the bill. No, let me say, you need 15 things in the bill. The government decides only 6 things they put in the bill. They want to ensure that if they put 6 things, that you would want to make some sort of amendments to then put certain things. So instead of putting all 15, they decide to put 10. They decide to put 10 because Delbert Paris say, okay, we need this and that, voter ID cards, all those kind of things there. They decide to put more things to the bill willfully. But they leave out these specifications of what will make sure that these things that they put in the bill does not have any merit. So it's kind of like having a cup. You need cup to take water. Okay, you have the cup, but apparently you don't have the water. So they say, okay, look the cup, and we'll have to go and find the water. That's how I think what has happened when it comes on to the bill. So even if it was 6 and they put 10, maybe they said yes to the 10. And they left out the other 5, while still leaving out the specifications of the additional 4 things that they added. So they say, okay, well, we were at 6. If we had said no, then they'll most likely put back 6 and stuff, but it will still have the same things. And therefore, if it still has the same things, then it will have to go back to Parliament. I think saying so, yes, I agree on the merit that saying no would be the key thing here, but at the end of the day, they probably thought, hey, okay, we have 10 things now, and it's a start. That's what they've been claiming. There's a start. Anyways, guys, so there's 30 of you guys in the building right now. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button. Also, share this video to other individuals if they were watching as well. I would appreciate that, guys. But with that said right there, let's continue.
Fair elections in Dominica, end of quote. 8 concerns were outlined across the 3 bills introduced to Parliament in December of 2024. We had the House of Assembly Elections Bill. There were 4 concerns: election campaign financing, election offences, bribery and treating, abuse of state resources for ruling party campaigns,
which they needed to definitely clarify, which they didn't. That's interesting.
And access to all media. The presentations of Senator Paris on all these areas were the most comprehensive and far-reaching in the entire debate, but he did not vote on this bill. We had the Electoral Commission bill. The concerns there were about broadening the composition of the Electoral Commission and raising the prescribed age for leaving the office of Chief Elections Officer from 55 to 65. There was no debate on this bill. Senator Paris did not vote on this bill. And then we had the Registration of Electors Act. The concerns there in that letter to the Prime Minister from the political leader of the United Workers' Party, 13th of January, 2025, was one, a clean, accurate voters list, where we made the point that in order to have a clean, accurate list of voters who are eligible based on the constitutional requirements of citizenship, age, and residency, there must be total re-registration of voters and provisions for cleansing of the voters list annually. We expressed the concern as well that the bill allows for citizens living overseas who are not ordinarily resident in Dominica to choose representatives in the Parliament of Dominica for constituencies where they do not live and therefore cannot be represented. There was also the question of voter identification cards, and the letter acknowledged that the new registration of electors bill provides for ID cards to be used for voting with voter registration number and facial recognition as the only biometric. And we expressed the view that to ensure certainty of identity in all respects, the biometric of fingerprints must be used for voter registration.
That's exactly what I was saying a while ago, brothers and sisters. You have the voter ID card, but you're leaving out the biometric stuff.
And voting. The January 13th, 2025 request for meeting with the Prime Minister to discuss these areas of concern and make appropriate improvement recommendations was denied. Nonetheless, the UWP submission was reviewed by the Special Parliamentary Committee on Electoral Reform Proposals, and UWP Deputy Political Leader Senator Delbert Paris made detailed recommendations for amendments to the bills based on the areas of concern presented by the UWP. For example, in the matter of a clean, accurate voters list, Senator Paris proposed an amendment to the Registration of Electors Bill to establish criteria for the removal of persons who are no longer ordinarily resident in Dominica from the register of voters.
Was that passed? Was that something that they took on?
And to prohibit the confirmation or re-registration of persons not ordinarily resident in Dominica. This amendment would ensure that, consistent with the constitutional right to vote for representation in the Parliament of Dominica, only those who are genuinely resident in Dominica are eligible to vote, thereby strengthening electoral integrity.
But that didn't pass. That didn't go through. Because they're still talking about bringing people from overseas to vote.
Significant recommendations for improvement from Senator Paris were ignored.
Exactly. That's the whole point. And therefore, if he's making these stipulations, of things that's supposed to be added, and it was ignored, he should have said no.
His vote of conscience on a single bill cannot be justifiably used as a scapegoat for unmanaged, unmet expectations of the protest organizers and protesters. If the objective of the protest was to prevent passage of the bills, then that could not realistically be a matter for members of parliament. That was entirely about the people and the numbers in which they were mobilized to assemble. Many stayed at home while the freedom fighters were fighting, and so it seems we lost the battle to stop bills.
I agree with him on that part. I agree with him. Like I indicated before, brothers and sisters, even when I was pushing this stuff, I indicated that everybody needs to show up. It's not just some people. I expect to see at least 10,000 people show up. So I agree. If it's on the merit, hey, people not showing up, and I dare fighting for people, I give the different stipulations and they ignore it. So the next step is the people that need to come in. Then if it's that, I agree. I agree that therefore he would say yes in that regard. Hey, you guys don't want to show up. I saying these things, all these things that I put forth, I ignored, like he was saying right there, and the people not showing up. But still, out of principle, I would still say no. I would still say no. Because it does not reflect free and fair elections for the Dominican people.
Bills whose passage was guaranteed by government's overwhelming parliamentary majority. We lost the battle. We could have won. And that is on us. So
that's true. That's true. I agree with that part. But still, it should have been when he should have still said no. There's no if or but about it. He should have still said no. Why he said yes for? He might agree with the first two bills. Don't have not a problem with them. But he should have still said no.
We fight on. Unlike Roosevelt's carrot, Senator Parris did not boycott the meeting of Parliament. He did not run. He did not hide.
But he didn't have to show up because he already won. He already win the bill. The point is that they should have said no.
He showed up to do the people's work without fear or favor, affection or ill will.
That is not the point. The point here is he should have said no. He should have still said no. They ignore him making proposals and they ignoring all his proposals, or might have taken some and leave out the consequences of them. And that's somehow okay. It's not okay. Dominica Vibes, one thing I must say, a few years ago, before Portsmouth Parliament was into politics, she was registering people to vote along with Mr. Arthur James, and she was very strict, told me I'm not a resident, I couldn't register. Well, I guess that's something you will have to take up with her, because when it comes to that situation right there, that's something, you know, if you have the right to register, you should register. So nobody cannot tell you can't register and you're a citizen too. That doesn't make sense, you know. Anyways, let's continue.
He had no agreement with the UWP, the ERC, or any other organization or individual to vote against the dictates of his conscience. The condemnation and vilification of Senator Parris for his exercise of judgment are misplaced and counterproductive. Many of the critics, especially from his own party, have not read the bills. They have no idea what reform provisions he voted for.
But that's what we're asking, because it seems like they were happy to pass the bill, and obviously we know if they are happy to pass the bill, it's still to their benefit. And if they are ignoring everything that is stated and he still voted yes, then something is wrong with that.
And therefore absolutely no appreciation for the value of his legislative contribution.
He made legislative contributions, we agree. We are not saying that he did make it. We are proud of the fact that he brought these bills forward and he put his stipulations forward and say, hey, this needs to be added or something of that needs to be removed or whatever the case is. The problem here is that he said yes to the very bill. That is the big problem. Knowing that people have been fighting, whether it's the few that fighting and the majority staying quiet at their home, which I think is a huge problem right there. And that's one of the reasons why I agree with you, because if he's pushing out the bills out there and on the merit of him putting the bills out there, it's been ignored. The people are supposed to show up. The people are supposed to show up and say, hey, you know, no, you're not passing that there. So I agree with Lennox on that point, but he should have still said no. Brothers and sisters, 34 of you guys are in the building. Click the thumbs up button for me. I would appreciate that right there.
Electoral reform. We need to rise above irrational partisan outrage and recognize that the true measure of parliamentarians is how effectively they contribute to shaping laws that serve the people.
But it's not serving the people, bro. It's not. It's really not serving the people. Anyways, brothers and sisters, we move it along right there. He's just about to end this stuff. Hillary was one of the individuals who responded to what Lennox had to say right there. Let's take a listen.
Matter said there could have nullified the fact that there was a deliberate betrayal. Parris is not a newcomer.
I would not say
it's
a deliberate betrayal. I think that he was under a lot of stress when it comes to that situation right there. But as somebody who knows that you give certain things and it was ignored, I would have still said no. You cannot say yes. So I wouldn't say it was deliberate, but still, you should have said no.
Deliberate betrayal. Harris is not a newcomer. You wanted him for leader, so he has experience.
What? Paris is not a newcomer. To me, Paris is a newcomer, guys. He might be a supporter of the party silently, but he based off what is happening right now, he's a newcomer. Now, brothers and sisters, if you're watching this video and you have not subscribed and you want to leave a comment inside there, the subscribers only mode has been turned on. So the only way you can leave a message in the live chat is if you subscribe to the channel. So if you've not done so, click the subscribe button. I would appreciate that right there. And there are 33 of you guys in the building. Click the thumbs up button for me as well. Dominica Vice, Mr. Leaks, quick question off topic. How comes Dominica isn't getting none of the cricket money pie? I have no idea.
Harris could not sign a contract if there were 5 clauses in which we agreed. Okay?
Yeah, just like a normal contract, brothers and sisters. If you have 10 clauses in that contract, and 5 of the 10 clause in the contract you disagree with, or let's make it 3 or 2 of the clause in the contract you disagree with, you have 2 options. You can decide, what, this clause in the contract and not to my benefit, I'm saying no to it. Or you might have to go and rewrite the draft so we can meet somewhere. I'm saying no to it because it's not going to reflect to my will. It seems like it's only to your advantage. And as a result of it being to your advantage, it is not to my benefit. And as a result, I will not sign the contract. No, I will not sign it.
Contract if there were 5 clauses in which we agreed. Okay?
It's kind of like when you get in updates, brothers and sisters. And in some of the updates, they put a new contract in so you can sign up for it. You can decide, what, I don't want to be part of the new contract. I don't want the update, and cancel it. And then you continue using the program how it is. That's how sometimes things does work here.
And there were 2 that he wasn't happy with. He would not sign the contract. Okay?
Exactly.
And what line of Clinton is saying there, man, I've always respected. To me, I understand he's trying to push something in to try to save his partner. But all the parliamentarians have betrayed the nation.
Yeah, well, they should have said no. Not just Paris, but they should have said no as well. Anthony Charles was on some other vibe right there. I guess he believed that he wants his sister to come and vote and all those kind of things they're using. He's on his own vibe. The rest of them should have said no. Simple. There's no ifs or buts, because we are still in square one. It don't matter if you say, okay, we have this thing and it's inside there. Next time comes around, we can think. Next time comes around can be next election. And next election will give them the advantage because we are still at square one. What we waiting for another 3 elections to happen before we bring another electoral reform, really?
I'm saying, if all you wish it, stop the demonstration. Okay? Because they knew and they were part of it. Stop it. You cannot have people fighting outside and then you inside. That is absolute crap.
I agree. But I don't, like I indicated before, I don't think that the people, some of them were definitely for the protesters. Apparently, Anthony Charles was not for the protesters. This is probably why they didn't want him to be political leader, opposition leader in parliament. So I understand that right there. Paris is on his own. Not Paris now. What's his name? Anthony. Anthony is on his own right there.
And you cannot say you're unhappy with this, you're unhappy with that, you're voting for it, and later you'll amend it. Utter garbage.
Yeah.
Whoever sent him to do that, misled him.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's something that was intentionally done, every one of them not behind it.
Because that was very sad.
Equally guilty. And I don't think people should come. We should just let that lie low. Okay? Just forget about that and don't come and try to defend that crap.
Yeah. I strongly agree with what he's saying right there. Because what happened in that parliament, when the people were outside there fighting for proper electoral reform, they're fighting for it. You want to give voter ID cards, we need the biometrics, we need these things. Campaign finance, we need these things. Access to state radio stations. You need these things with the consequence. You need everything to ensure that everybody have a free, equal playing field. Nobody should have advantage over the other. When Lennox was talking about the bribery and treating properly, defining these things, all these things were ignored. So it means next election that can still happen. Therefore, we are still back to square one. Man. That is crazy right there. Anyways, brothers and sisters, we have Dr. Thompson Fontaine on that situation right there when he's talking about the Delbert Paris. Take a listen.
As we looked yesterday, one of the things that we saw that was striking was that the bill, despite such strong opposition protest, appeared to be unanimously approved in the parliament. In fact, an opposition senator voted in favor of the legislation. How does that? I'm trying to pull his name here. Delbert Paris.
Delbert Paris, yes.
Yeah, voted in favor of the bill. He said,
yes,
a little is better than nothing.
Ironically, Delbert Paris is my deputy. He's the deputy of the party.
The deputy leader of the UWP, yeah.
Deputy leader of the party. He is also, when he became senator, he was not yet a member of the party, because you may recall that we boycotted over the same electoral reform issues. We boycotted the 2022 elections. But he came in there because he was made a senator by one of the two independent candidates who contested the elections. What he explained was that there was an expectation on his part that the bills would be presented separately, because they are three separate bills. One dealing with the registration of electors, one dealing with the House of Assembly procedures, and the other dealing with the Chief Elections Officer. Paris, like ourselves, have no issues with the House of Assembly and the Elections Officer part of the act. These were for those two pieces. We thought these were okay. The issue we had concerning campaign finance and the voters list has to do with the election of the electors list, the registration of electors portion of the bill. So according to his explanation, when it was presented, it was of the view that they were going to do separate calls for votes on the separate pieces of legislature. He did not realize at the time that when it was announced, they announced the three of them. And having supported these two pieces of legislation, he said yes, not realizing that was the end of it. So that is.
So that means there was, like I indicated before, that most likely means that there was not proper communication that was happening. And maybe that self was by design to make them say yes to the bill. Because I've heard other people saying the same thing too. I've heard other people who were part of this saying the same thing too. That they were separate bills and they said yes and they didn't know about the thing. So they said yes to the bills. But apparently, it was the whole bill. So maybe they did not communicate that properly, or maybe they did not see. But then again, all of them said yes. So maybe on that merit, can people retract their decision though? Or is it finalized? Especially now that we're understanding that maybe they were kind of sidetracked. But we know for sure Anthony Charles was not making a mistake. He knew exactly what he was doing. Because he said yes, he wanted his sister to come and vote and all those kind of things that he was saying. He said his friend's not part of the electoral protest. He said that. So you already know which side he sided for.
He has explained that. And part of it has to do with the fact that he's a new senator.
Exactly,
he's
new.
Not too familiar with the proceeds of the House. But if you heard his contribution to the House, he was very clear that he had reservations about it. He proposed several amendments,
which of course was a good thing, and we commend him for doing that. And if be the case that they sidetracked them, then something needs to be done in that regard.
The pieces of legislation, those amendments were rejected, and as such, he had no reason to support that.
Exactly.
Part, particularly one I explained having to do with the voters list.
So he basically made a mistake.
He made a mistake.
Well, they made a mistake. Now we come into the meat of it now, brothers and sisters, because if you make a mistake in Parliament, can you not retract? You I need to bring Dr. Thompson on the podcast, man. We have to talk about these things.
That's what it is. I believe it was a genuine mistake and part of the confusion as well. And also the fact that there was a lot of pressure within Parliament, pressure to get this done as quickly as possible, because there were reports that the protesters on the outside were trying to get in, and all of those concerns were being expressed.
But the whole point of the protesters is for them to stop the bill that was not reflecting them. And it's still not reflecting them for free and fair elections. It's still not reflecting them at all. So if it's not reflecting them, my goodness, why were they trying to rush the bill when the people did not want the bill in the first place?
So I guess a lot of persons were not really thinking straight, and only himself and one government minister actually spoke on the bill before it was passed. So it showed the kind of confusion and disarray that was in the House during that period.
Now, the UWP boycotted the last elections. Your reason?
No, guys, as she's saying that there, so they boycotted and so forth. We're going to go to another part of this, of what exactly is actually needed. What is needed in the reform right there. Let's take a listen.
Based on the opposition's lobbying and advocacy and protests over the years, Dominica certainly come along. We're actually taking a bill to Parliament, and it was unanimously passed. I think I saw a member of the opposition saying that you've got to start somewhere in justifying why he was supporting a bill that at that moment opposition forces were outside.
Even though you starting somewhere, but it's still in square one. That's you still in square one.
Protesting quite loudly. Why does the opposition continue to say that while Prime Minister Skerritt has taken this big step of electoral reform with this bill that is being passed into law, that it has not gone far enough? What is missing? Because it talks about ID cards, it talks about reconfirmation of people on the list and a few other things. What is the issue now?
You mute.
Main concern that we have is the fact that the legislation does not address one of the major problems that we face with our electoral process in Dominica. Dominica has a population of approximately 70,000. We have a voters list of about 75,000. And the new legislation allows for that voters list to be the one that is in effect during a period of reconfirmation. Now, on that list, Matthew, there are persons who've been away from Dominica for over 40 years. There are persons who are dead. There are persons who no longer reside in Dominica. And what it allows for is that you simply need to reconfirm that the name on that list is in fact yours, and that you reside in a constituency 20 or 25 years ago. It also allows for the Prime Minister to call an election at any time during the reconfirmation period. And if that happens...
I hope all you're listening to that. I hope all you're listening to that. That shows that Dominica is still back to square one. It's still...
What would be used in that election is the
only
original bloated voters list.
Exactly.
That is a major problem.
Of
because
course.
the CCJ had ruled in 2019 that one of the major taints of our electoral system was that bloated voters list.
Mm-hmm.
And they went on to say that Dominica should never, under any circumstances, ever have another election using that particular list.
And we are still in that same phase. We are still, they say you have to start somewhere. We are still in the same phase, brothers and sisters.
Of voters. So we view this as a very...
By the way, guys, there are 50 of you guys in the building right now. Click the thumbs up button for me, please. I would appreciate that right there. Click the like button. It doesn't take much, just click. And there's some of you guys watching on your television right now. You can just scroll down and click the like button and then go back up and click the thumbs up button for me, please, right there. It's free to click, guys. You don't have to pay for it. Just click of course, helping to push these videos further and further there so that others can see it as well. The interaction is necessary, and at the end of this here video, you can also leave your comments in the comment box below. But while we live, brothers and sisters, please make sure you subscribe so that you can definitely give your thoughts and comments in the live chat. I will definitely get to see it. I don't see your live chat. I don't see your comments if you have not, you don't say anything in the live chat. I won't see your comments until you leave your thoughts in the live chat right there. So click the thumbs up button, brothers and sisters. I appreciate that. One time, big up everybody. I've clicked the thumbs up button already. And of course, with that steady right there, let's continue right there. Click the thumbs up button.
A serious problem. What it will in fact do is that it will allow the Prime Minister to behave as he's always behaved.
Exactly.
Which is to look at the voters list.
Exactly. Back to square one. With all the fight that has happened when it comes down to electoral reform, people marching. I remember when people marching in 2019, marching. There are at least 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 people in the streets. Not too bad, no doubt about it. And we are back to square one. We are back to square one. Bruh.
Go overseas and given our very small constituencies in Dominica that can be moved by very small margins.
Yep.
For example, in the 2019 election, where we won 6 seats, we lost 4 seats by a combined 120 votes. 4 seats that were lost by a combined...
4 seats. 4 seats, brothers and sisters. 4 constituencies were lost by a combined 120 votes. So you think Scary Dem has to bring a lot of people? You think it's 1,000 people you have to bring? Huh? With the very same electoral reform bill that took place, brothers and sisters, which means that they can go back to the same old list and bring the same set of people back. 120 people flipped. 120 people flipped 4 constituencies, man. And they voted yes on that same bill. Whether they misunderstood it or whatever, brothers and sisters, thinking maybe it's the first bill out of the 3 bills that they were saying yes to, they need to retract their yes. They need to retract it. Can they don't do that? Because that is not good at all. And Scary wasn't even there to vote.
120 votes. So this legislation allows the Prime Minister, as he has done in 2019, as he did in 2014 and in 2009,
back to square one,
allows him to go to the diaspora, find out from the diaspora persons that can come into marginal constituencies and win those constituencies. So that will not change with this legislation. And that is one of the major problems that we have. And we are saying until and unless that changes, we will not support the legislation. And the other issue has to do with campaign finance reform.
Yep.
Dennis Byron...
Scary himself admitted on that. Scary himself admitted on campaign finance. He himself did that.
Who was the one who did the report and who made many suggestions, suggested campaign finance reform. Because we have seen the government of Dominica again in 2009, the records showed that they used over $14 million to charter flights on the day of elections to bring people into Dominica.
And they can still do it today, brothers and sisters, with the new electoral reform. This is why I keep saying that we are still back to square one with all the meetings and all the things that was happening when it comes down to electoral reform. They were happy when they clapped that Delbert said yes. Brothers and sisters, Dominica is still back to square one or square zero.
There's absolutely no mention in the legislation of campaign finance reform. So the others we can live with, but those 2 critical areas are not addressed, and that is a much cause of concern for us.
So...
Hendricks is saying Grenada had the Mongoose gang under the PM Gary until the Americans invaded the island. So you're saying that for Dominica to go forward, for some reason or the other, you're saying that America has to invade the island? Well, there are other ways for America to get involved, you know. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll hear about them soon.
You're saying even with this new law, it's business as usual based on how you feel the elections have been conducted. and despite concerns by observer missions for those particular particular area of the voters list. What happened? What happens next? We saw what was announced the day before as a peaceful protest against the bill break down into a clash between protesters and the police in Dominica. It certainly was something to watch.
Yes, it was, and it's very unfortunate because we had a peaceful protest. When we arrived there yesterday morning, we found that the whole place was barricaded.
And that is where the
police
police,
barriers
brothers and
set up.
sisters, I keep mentioning that in the Mr. Licks Reacts channel. That is where the police broke the constitution of Dominica. Because the people have a right to protest. Assembly, peaceful assembly, they have a right to do these things. And the police barricaded the area, the public area. That is against the constitution of Dominica. And hopefully all the individuals that they charge, hopefully they get a healthy sum of money as a result of the breaking of the constitution. Willful breaking of the constitution.
From every direction, which effectively prevented us from getting close to the parliament. So already persons were agitated. However, for the most part, the protest was peaceful. We were singing songs. We were talking about the government should go and so on. And because we were very far away from the parliament. At about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, some protesters who were very much discouraged with the fact that the law appears to be going through in parliament attempted to shift those barriers. In the process of shifting the barriers, there was a small tussle between the police that were on the other side of the barriers. And
the police were wrong for that. They were dead wrong. Just like I mentioned a while ago, brothers and sisters, on the understanding of the route. The police in that situation were dead wrong. And if the people wanted to get their freedom when it comes down to that situation, they should. But the problem here is then you have to go through the whole court system and all those kind of things there and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. Which of course takes a lot of time and money to do so. And because of that, that is why the government knows that it has the upper hand yet again. Guys, don't forget to click the thumbs up button for me, please. 45 of you guys are in the building. 47 now. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button. Big up to all those who are new to this channel when it comes down to the situation. If you want to leave a comment in the chat box, definitely click the subscribe button so you can interact as well. Like I indicated before a bit earlier on, if you were not there, I cannot see your comments until you are in the live chat. So if you want to leave your comments in the live chat right there. I would appreciate that. Don't forget, like I indicated before, to click the thumbs up button. And we are almost done here, guys. So let's just continue right there.
Normal policing work, you would have expected the police to just control that situation. Instead, they immediately escalated.
Yep.
As soon as that happened, the riot squad that was backed up a few meters away came in.
And it's interesting that they used the riot squad, brothers and sisters. There was no rioting taking place. They enacted the riot act, brothers and sisters, when there was no riot taking place. The first situation is the police went against the people's rights based on the Constitution. They went against it by putting up the barricade in the first place. The laws are there, the Constitution is there. They decided in the public space to block the people's access to have a peaceful assembly around Parliament. To tell them, hey, we do not want this bill to pass. The police were wrong from the get-go. Which is very interesting why Mia Motley made a message and said that she sent the RSS on standby or whatever to, on the merit that they said that they were going to, go after because there was not sufficient permission given by the police to hold the peaceful assembly. Boy, Mia, you something else, boy.
Began to fire rubber bullets. And in response to those rubber bullets, obviously, persons now began to send projectiles at the police. And that is how this whole thing escalated. They also dispensed quite a lot of
Tear
tear
gas.
gas
Yep, I
rounds.
got
I
tear
was there.
gassed.
I've been suffering from the flu for the entire week. I could barely breathe. Several persons got injured, including, by the way, the gentleman. I noticed you said earlier on that no one was arrested. The fact is, we know of 3 persons who have been arrested, including 2 yesterday, and one of those was actually assaulted by the police. There is video. I did not see it happen, but I saw the video afterwards of him being struck in the head by a police officer while he was walking
I saw that
peacefully.
Yep.
video. So that
You would have seen
gentleman
that
was
video, right?
subsequently arrested.
Yeah, that man supposed to sue the police for that. Police not supposed to be attacking the citizens, especially old man. Really?
Right. So this individual is in jail. I visited him in the jail last night.
What
He's
are his
still not yet
charges?
been released. The police are suggesting that he may be charged with throwing projectiles. They also told his lawyer today that they have some video of him preparing some stones. So he may be charged with that kind of charge. The fact is,
They have video of him preparing stones. You know what he was using these stones for? Boy. Anyways.
he's still there. Yesterday, we demanded that he be taken to the hospital to be seen by a doctor because he was in obvious pain, swelling. His head was swelling, and he had a lot of bruises over his body. So that was done, but he
So that is the reason why the police have to knock out the man. Let's say all what the police was saying there is true. They have video evidence of him about to collect stone and pelt them or whatever. Where you knock him out versus where you say he had these stones, 2 different places. So where you choose to knock him out, that means he had no closeness to the stones that you claim that he was going to use as projectiles. And you knock out the man that was disarmed already. You knock out the man that was already disarmed. Boy, Dominica boy, you better watch yourself, eh?
remains in custody. Another gentleman was arrested afterwards at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The second gentleman was arrested. And last night in the southern village of Granby, one of the persons who took part in the demonstration was also arrested. And you mentioned at the start the attempt to arrest the former MP of Salisbury, Spags John. It was only when the police were at his door, he went on Facebook Live.
Yeah, this pass is already on bail and stuff. I just decided to show you guys this stuff.
And persons from the village came, and that's when the police left. So he was not arrested. But as you rightly indicated, this morning, there's protest action going on in Salisbury as a result of this attempted arrest.
So that was when the situation in Salisbury was going on, right there. But we get the whole point, brothers and sisters, on that merit right there. But it seems like Dominicans need to take a stand for betterment for themselves. And when the police overreaches the authority that was given by the Constitution, and they do things that is not guided by the Constitution, then they should be taken to court and sued. I think a lot of the individuals who are doing craziness, and this is not to say that this is only specific to Dominica, brothers and sisters. These things tend to happen in the United States all over the place. The good thing is, when these things happen in the United States, a lot of people get paid. They get paid out. And I think Dominica should follow that same trend. Because when the police is overreaching the authority that they are supposed to be guided by the Constitution and they don't get guided by the Constitution, then you should take them to court. The thing that the government, however, tends to do is to kill time. So people bring up their cases and so forth and just killing time over and over and over and over and over. So, what are your thoughts, brothers and sisters? What are your thoughts on that sentiment right there? I think it's very sad when it comes down to what is taking place in Dominica. Hendrix Ismail is saying, in every advanced country where they have white majority, real freedom takes place. People do not need a permit to demonstrate against their government. White police do not shoot anyone on the street. Well, that's not true. That is not true. I mean, look at Ukraine right now. I mean, Ukraine. So that's a whole other story right there. And there are a number of places there. It's not just saying, oh, it's white people and this kind of things. That is not the case at all. However, there are a few white neighborhoods, just like there are a few black neighborhoods that tend to do well by the citizens. I mean, look at Ibrahim. We always mention about Ibrahim, the one that just came in there. And there's a number of others who tend to put their people first. In Dominica, the government puts the people last. And when they put the people last and the people are protesting for their right based off what the Constitution has given them, the police then steps in to violate the constitutional right. They just come in to violate the people's constitutional right. And then they hope that the people are ignorant. Because there are a number of things that happen in Dominica where people are supposed to take the state to court. And apparently they don't do that because maybe they don't have the funds, because of the very economy that the government has created that will limit their abilities for them to take the government to court, and they will definitely win the case. This is why I always say that I think lawyers should work with the people. And I understand that lawyers say, boy, I work hard, I want to get my money and what have you, blah, blah, blah. I understand that, but, you know, sometimes when you work with the people, you end up making more money, especially when it's a constitutional right violation that has happened by the very government. Millions upon millions of dollars are paid to people, you know, in the United States when it comes down to police overreach and brutalization and all those kind of things there. And that is clearly happening in Dominica. Clearly. So the authorities need to make sure that they hold these people to task when it comes down to the situation involving police brutality in that regard. Anyways, brothers and sisters, I would appreciate if you, 45 of you guys in the building right there. I think there was about 50 of you guys in this one. I appreciate all those who came back to this one right there. I don't know what happened with my first live. This thing just stopped for some reason or the other. I did not click anything. Maybe there was some sort of glitch in the system that caused it to stop. Or maybe a maniacal stopped the the internet from working. I don't know. Well, it wasn't the internet. It was maybe the stream had a glitch or something. And as a result of the glitch, it stopped it. This has happened before. I'm not sure why it happens, but maybe I need to update the software. Maybe that's what it is right there. Anyways, brothers and sisters, I appreciate you guys for tuning with your boy right there. And of course, hopefully you guys enjoyed the vibes. No doubt about it. I posted this link in the first comment in the comment box. So I will also link at the end of this year video, the previous one right there. Thanks so much for tuning with your boy. Like I did before, please click the thumbs up button. Hendrik Ismail in Ukraine, it was the Russians taking out Ukrainians. It's a war where two countries were fighting. That's false. You know about the Donbass region. This is something I know, you know. I'm a global person, so I know what is happening. There was the Donbass region of Ukraine, and then there's the Ukraine mainland. And the Ukraine mainland was fighting against the Donbass region of Ukraine. There was also that war that was taking place. This has happened since Nane Kane. It is only when the Donbass region people in Ukraine started fleeing into the Russian region, then the Russian people started to come to protect that region right there. And as a result, they came through. That is how that whole situation escalated. So it's not just saying Russia. You see, when you don't know, you don't know. But yes, the Ukrainians were fighting against each other long before Russia invaded. You can Google it yourself, you know. Type in the Donbass region. Donbass. Donbass region of Ukraine. And you'll see a nice little line between Russia and Ukraine. Donbass region does not want to be part of Ukraine. They feel like they speak Russian. They are more aligned with Russian. And, you know, as a result of that, they think. They want to join Russia. Russia saying, no, we're happy that you guys are in the middle. And you guys can be thing. They also want their independence as well from them. So it's not just saying Russia and Ukraine. No, it's not that at all. Russia didn't want any involvement, but then since they were shelling the Donbass region, Ukraine was shelling the Donbass region to try to get the people to be subjected to them, then that whole situation happened. So, yeah, do a little research and you'll find out if what I'm saying is actually true or not. Anyways, brothers and sisters, I'm about to sign out here on this year BRBPTV Live Interaction Podcast. Hopefully you guys learned something. I learned quite a lot myself when it comes into the situation, including what Lennox had to say on Paris. And I do agree on the part where he stated that the people apparently stayed at the homes. They did not show up. So even if they Delbert presented the stuff, you know, and it was ignored, the people would need to come in the thousands to say, hey, this is what we want and whatnot. But apparently, they did not show up. Probably like what, 200-300 people were there, and that was it. And we expect to have change in Dominica? Really? Okay. Anyways, guys, I'm signing out here on this here BRBP TV live interaction reaction vibe. And of course, if you did enjoy it, don't forget to click the thumbs up button. And with that, stay right there, brothers and sisters. Be real. Salute the King always. Be positive.